Hey everybody, it's Charles Dish with Keaty Real Estate, and I'm honored. I got a special guest, Jan Richard, the mayor, Scott. Thanks for being here with us today, man.
Appreciate you.
We got a few questions for you, so you want to jump right into it?
Absolutely.
All right. You're not new to Scott, but newly elected mayor.
Right.
What's really your first big objective that you're trying to overcome or try to get to?
I think economic development is the biggest thing that we're looking for right now, is trying to establish a better business community. I think we have some great businesses to build on, but I think we're trying to grow that. And then of course, infrastructure wise, I mentioned earlier in the meeting with the rest of the agents was how we tackle drainage and infrastructure and roads and mobility. So drainage is a big one. I'd like to see us implement a drainage improvement plan, a blueprint that we can follow, not just under my tenure, but for every tenure moving forward. So I think those things, economic development was a big push in my campaign, part of my Live Scott initiative, as well as tackling the infrastructure side of it, which is drainage and roads, and how we're going to connect our community, not just for the next 3 or 4 years, but for the next 15, 20.
Yeah, I mean, what we just saw is very exciting for Scott, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but really, as realtors, one of the biggest questions we always get is schools.
Right.
So you want to hit on like schools?
Yeah, and like I said, I think our schools, I think we have some great schools. I think Acadiana High obviously is a great school. The business and the finance academy there has done some great things, and I think we've seen a big intick in regards to people wanting to be in that school of choice. I think we're seeing people from all over the parish that are interested in the business and finance program that Ms. Bennett has put on, because I think it's really promoting a good business-minded community, not just from the school, but onto the future, into college and whatnot. So Scott Middle has done a tremendous job. They have the Springboard program there and the Eureka Math program that are great sounding boards for both the math and English and language arts there, that I think have really kind of set the bar. We've started to see a little bit of an uptick there in the scores, and I think you're seeing with the new zoning, the school starting to improve again on the scores. And then Elio Jadis, it's kind of a Montessori school. It's more of a hands-on approach, and the kids, they encourage kids to get hands-on with that environmental science program that they have there. And I think that's good for kids now. I think kids need to be, the classroom has become so monotonous, and what they've done at Elio Jadis has really changed the landscape. And of course, West Side, we had some struggles there with the flood in 16, Charles, and so we saw 2 years of no activity there, and that was tough on those kids, and that was tough on that administration, but they've bounced back, and they've bounced back very strong. There's a French immersion program there now, and I think that's going to be something that's going to kickstart that school back into the stardom area it was in. And then of course our Catholic school, St. Peter and Paul, has done a tremendous job in recruiting locals and getting people, giving people another option in between Acadia Parish and Lafayette Parish to come into Scott. And they have huge goals as well, and I think maybe in time we'll see maybe a potential expansion of a high school.
All right. Well, this was a hot button here in the meeting. I didn't realize how big it was, but recreational facilities.
Right. Yeah, and we have a lack of. We're working on trying to expand. I think the council and myself are going to look at possibly purchasing the property at some point from LCG, and maybe taking over the park that LCG currently owns, and then making improvements slowly as we can with that. And then we're looking to acquire some of the property going north towards the frontage. There's about 42 acres that's available that we'd like to eventually purchase to maybe expand our park, not necessarily on the same likes as St. Julian or the Youngsville Sports Complex, but something that we could be proud of, something that we could expand our horizons on. We maybe implement a rec center as well, because we all know, as I mentioned in that meeting, that the future of our communities are the kids. So I think the more opportunities you give them, the more amenities you provide for them, not only benefits them, but it also increases your quality of life as well.
Yeah, so I'm around Scott a lot, and there's everybody asks you this, so there's a huge buzz going on. So tell us about the Apollo extension.
Well, Apollo Road is going to change the game. You know,
Yeah.
and we said that it's a major connector, it's a major artery, not just for our community, but for Lafayette Parish. I think it's going to alleviate some pressure off of Westgate and Ambassador that you currently see now, and it's going to take a little bit of pressure off of Dulles. You know, we see a lot of pressure on Dulles as well because of those two arteries. So this is going to change it. The other thing is the development that's going to come along it. You know, this is basically splitting part of our city. It's going to be an area of development that our city has never seen. So this corridor itself and it is going to change, not just from an economic development standpoint and commercial, but the residential and what I mentioned earlier with the West Village. I think you'll see a lot of people piggybacking Robert Daigle's development there, and that's going to change the game. It's going to get more people into Scott. It's going to bring more commercial development, which is going to allow us to expand our sales tax base.
Yeah, I'm excited. So you were saying that in the next few years that you're looking probably 300 to 400 more homes, more residents?
Right. The West Village itself is going to be about 250 single-family homes, and then there's going to be about 200 mixed use, which will be condos and apartments. So you're probably looking at a good, 1,300 to 1,500 additional bodies migrating to our community to become Scott residents.
They're gonna eat there.
And we have the establishments. Like I said, I think we have the infrastructure base. I think, we're making some improvements on Westgate. We got an agreement with DOTD to right-size that road and to take over it and to get it completely reconstructed. Cameron is the same way, and then the Apollo Road corridor. So we have, and then of course I-10. So you have some major thoroughfares that run through our community that are going to allow us to expand both residentially and commercially, but also give us an opportunity to move traffic in and out as well.
Yeah, I'm looking excited. I mean, it's an exciting time in Scott. I like to. By your first term, it's gonna be a huge difference.
Right. And we're trying to integrate all of it. You go back to the schools. I mean, the schools are important. The economic development is important, and then the residential growth is important as well. So it's how can we integrate all of those into one to improve our quality of life, to give our residents better amenities, and to make sure that it's a place where they want to live, work, and play.
Yeah. Well, I know Tony would be remiss if you haven't eaten Uncle T's.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that area?
Well, they've done a tremendous job. Matter of fact, the family and I went to Uncle T's Friday night. We had we did some pressure washing, cleaned up, but we went there and got some oysters and whatnot. And what Tony has done and what Jeff has done with the Coffee Depot and what some other places have done. My brother has taken over the old bank that my great uncle had, and so they've kind of revitalized that area. And so we're going to encourage people to continue to maybe do some commerce there, and to maybe take a residential house currently that no one's living in, and maybe change it into commerce, maybe do an ice cream shop, or and even the antique, even what Brett has done with Revival. So we really have kind of a hub downtown in regards to where people can come and walk and frequent establishments and really have a good time, and that's quality of life. And so we're also looking to make some improvements to our farmers market area, and we'd like to revamp that. And I think if we can get a gathering place there and we can get people to mingle in that area, then they shop in at Uncle T's, and then they go to the pharmacy, and then they go to Coffee Depot, and then maybe they go get their hair cut at Chopper. So I mean, there's a lot of mixed use there, and I think we're going to grow in that.
Well, Jan, I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
I'm excited for Scott. I think it's an up and coming, and it's going to be great to see in the next few years. But give us your last thoughts. Why should people move to Scott?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna tell you why you should move to Scott. I mean, one, we're the lowest sales tax rate in the parish. We're at 8%, and we're the boudin capital of the world, and we got great people. And that's what makes a great community. We welcome everyone to come on out and shop Scott. And again, if anything, you need me, my door is wide open at City Hall. Come see me, and we'll visit. I'll show you around town and see what we can do to get you to migrate to us.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you.